Hi everyone, and welcome to one of the first puzzle tutorials I've made in a very long time. So, a while ago I made a tutorial on how to solve this, the gear ball, and it was pretty well received. So I decided to make another tutorial based on another one of my favorite puzzles, the one and only 2x2 by 2, whatever you want to call it, the little Rubik's Cube. So this is a cool puzzle. It's sort of a deceptively hard puzzle. The reason I say this is, you hand this to somebody who, let's say, is trying to solve the 3x3, and they're like, oh, dude, I got this. This is super easy. And they can't end up solving it. Well, the secret is there's good news and bad news, I guess, about solving one of these. Because the thing is, this solves almost exactly like this. In fact, if you know how to solve one of these, you know how to solve one of these. That's the good news, right? So if you already know how to solve a 3x3, congratulations, you have another puzzle in your box that you can solve. The bad news is, you have to know one of these to solve one of these, or at least know a lot of the fundamentals. So what I plan to show you today is kind of the fundamentals of how to solve, I guess, any Rubik's Cube, but apply it to the 2x2. We're going to get this thing solved, and hopefully you'll walk away with another puzzle in your party trick toolkit. So let's go over really quick how we actually solve the 3x3 and then apply that to the 2x2. So when a lot of people attempt to solve your traditional Rubik's Cube, they try to do it side by side. So first they'll get the orange side, then the blue side, then the yellow side, and probably to no luck. Because the way you actually want to solve one of these things is layer by layer. So let's say if you're just looking at this green side, you want to solve this row, then this row, then this row. But by row, I mean this whole side here. So you want to solve this whole white side, then you want to get this middle ring, and then the top. In this case, we're going to do the same thing with the 2x2, but instead of a 3-story building, we're only working with a 2-story building. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the bottom, which can be any side, doesn't have to be green, it can be any size you want, and then we're going to get the top. There's one little added challenge, which is with the 3x3, we have these centers here which tell us where all the pieces go. So no matter how much you mix this thing up, this green center piece will always be here. It's always going to guide you as to where the green pieces need to go. As you can see, we don't have centers on the 2x2, so what we're going to do is when we first start to solve this thing, we're just going to pick a piece to work off of and build off of that, and I'll show you a little bit more what I mean by that as we go along. So I think we're getting about ready to get started here. One more thing, though, is notation. So there are some algorithms involved. They're not super complicated. I think you should be able to follow through with them pretty easy. However, you will need to know a little bit of notation in order to follow along with them. So notation works like this. When I call out a side, let's say right, what you do is you turn that side clockwise. So since I called out right, this would be the right side, so we turn the right side clockwise. When I say right counter or right counterclockwise, we turn it counterclockwise. And the sides are right, left, front, back, top, bottom. And once again, it doesn't matter. Again, the red can be the front, the yellow can be the front. It all depends on what algorithm we're doing and how we need to hold the cube. So, without further ado, I think we're ready to get this thing scrambled and get started. Alright, I think this thing is good and scrambled and we're ready to get started. So, like I said, when you're trying to solve the bottom layer, all you need to do is you need to pick a color that you want to solve. I like to solve purple just because it kind of stands out and I like purple. So what we need to do is we need to pick a piece that we're going to sort of build the other pieces off of. In this case, let's use the purple, green, and white piece. So what we need to do is we need to find a piece that goes next to this piece. In this case, that would be the purple and green piece and the purple and white piece. So what you want to do is you want to look around the cube and try to find some of the other pieces. Ideally, you want to try to find the pieces in this bottom layer here, because that way they're easier to get up to the top and next to where you need to go. So an example would be this piece. Right here we have the purple, green, and yellow piece, which goes to the left side of our green, purple, and white piece. Because the purple is facing upside down, that means it's actually in a position where if we line it up like this, so it's facing back, we can just rotate it around and line it up like this. You see, the thing about solving the first side on most Rubik's Cubes, it's relatively, I guess, intuitive in the fact that a lot of the moves are really just trial and error. I could go over literally every single case there is, but in all honesty, that kind of case isn't very hard to figure out, as long as you know what you need to do. What's more common, though, and I think was a little bit trickier, is this sort of thing. In this case, we have the white, purple, and blue piece. And if we try to move it up to its spot, which is right here, we can't seem to get it the right way. We can move it back here, but that's wrong. We can try flipping it around, but it's flipped the wrong way. So there's a very simple short algorithm that's used to the point where I don't really even use notation for it. All you gotta do is you got to make sure the piece is in a position where the color that you want facing up, in this case purple, is either out to the right or out to the left. And you want to rotate the side that it's facing. So in this case, it's facing out to the right, so we rotate the right side so it moves the piece towards the back. We bring the piece up to the front and bring it up, lock it into place. And that's kind of it. If we do it again for this piece, the blue, purple, and yellow piece, we move it down, lock it into place, and bring it back up. Now, one more case that you might see that might impose a little bit of challenge is when the piece is facing upside down. In this case, when we try to do that move, I'm going to do it on the left side since we haven't done the left yet. Move it left, bring it up, bring it forward, and then bring it up. It's still not flipped the right way. Well, all you got to do in this case is just redo that same moveset that we just did. In this case, I'm going to move it down, but the one thing you want to do is you want to move it out of the way, so when we bring it back up, it's now flipped the correct way, and we can bring the left side down, move it up front, and bring it up to the top. And as you can see, we now have the purple layer completely solved and ready to work onto the top. So that's basically all there is to the bottom layer. Again, it's very just sort of trial and error, working with some very simple algorithms, but I'm sure you'll be able to kill it pretty quickly. So the next thing we want to do is we want to manipulate the corner pieces at the very top. Now, once again, you can apply any 3x3 corner manipulation algorithm that you want. The method I like to use is the sort of often known as the fish method, where basically what you do is you try to get a fish kind of shape and you perform an algorithm to get all the pieces facing up, and I think I inadvertently solved it. But typically that you often have to apply one more algorithm to get the pieces aligned correctly. So we're going to apply that same method. So really quick, let me show you that fish, this thing, as it looks on the 2x2. So here they are, equivalent. This is the equivalent of this. Because like I said, a 3x3 or a 2x2 is a 3x3 with just the corners. So if you just were to cross this out, sorry, it's hard to get the angle, but you can kind of see we have almost the exact same thing. We have one red piece facing up and three other corners facing the wrong way. We also have a red corner piece facing towards us. This is what you want. When you see this, you want to have it so the one red piece facing up is in the bottom left-hand corner, and you perform this algorithm, which is right, top, right counter, top, right, top 2, so we turn the top side twice, right counter. As you can see, all our pieces all the red pieces are facing up. Now, it's very likely that you didn't get the fish right away. What you got maybe was something that looked like this. The truth is there's a lot of different cases that you can get while trying to solve with this method. You can always apply the same algorithm, that one that I just showed you. However, there's a few different ways you need to try to hold the cube in order to solve it the fastest. So I'm going to show you a few of those cases now. One is this, where we have two red pieces facing forward, 2 red pieces facing behind us. What you want to do is you want to hold it or rotate it so 2 of them are facing to the right, 2 of them are facing to the left, and once again, the algorithm is right, top, right counter, top, right, top 2, right counter. And as you can see, we have our little, I guess it's not a fish, our 1 red dot with the piece here. Another one is when you have 2 pieces, 2 of the top pieces, in this case red, facing up, and 2 of them facing, 1 facing to the left and 1 facing to the right. What you want to do is you want to hold it just like this with these 2 in the back and perform, once again, right, top, right counter, top, right, top 2, right counter, which leads us into this case, which you want to hold, once again, facing back, right, top, right counter, top, right, top 2, right counter, and then we have our fish again. Where we have 2 pieces facing up diagonally, I find the best way to hold it is just like this, so it's facing diagonally to the left going down. We do right top, right counter top, right top 2, right counter. And that leads us into that other case that we got with the 2 pieces facing like this. So once again, right top, right counter top, right top 2, right counter. And we have the 1 piece up again. Another one that you might get looks a lot like a case we saw before with the 2 red pieces facing up. However, instead of a red piece facing this way, a red piece facing that way, they're both facing in the front. In this case, you want to hold it so these 2 pieces are facing forward, these 2 pieces are facing up. You want to do right top, right counter top, right top 2, right counter, which leads us into another case which looks exactly like the fish case, except we don't have a red piece facing forward. In this case, you just need to do that algorithm twice. So right top, right counter top, right top 2, right counter, which will then lead us to the correct fish case, in which we can do right top, right counter top, right top 2, right counter. Alright, and just like that, we are now on the final step, which is to correctly align all these corner pieces so the cube can be solved. So this case is the same as this case on the 3x3, which is often described as sort of headlights. So what you want to do is you want to look around and look for this thing where we have 2 correctly solved corner pieces, which in this case is going to look like this since we don't have these edge pieces here. This is often referred to as kind of looking like headlights, right? Because it looks like the headlights of a car shining at you, I suppose. So in this case we have some headlights facing out this way, and we have 2 pieces that need to effectively be swapped. On the 2x2, we have basically the same thing. We have these 2 blue pieces that are facing out, they're solved correctly, and then we have the green and yellow piece and the green and white piece that need to be swapped. So what you want to do is you want to hold it so that blue bar is facing behind you, and I like to rotate it so it matches up with its correct color, just easier to keep track of. Hold it so it's facing, so the blue in this case would be facing behind you, like out this way. And we're going to do this algorithm, which is right counter, front, right counter, back 2, right, front counter, right counter, back 2, right 2. And we just need to rotate the top, and our cube is solved. Now, there's a slight chance that you didn't end up with headlights, or at least a solved bar that you can work off of. Instead, you have this madness where everything's scrambled. In this case, you just want to pick a side and do that same algorithm, which once again is right counter, front, right counter, back 2, right, front counter, right counter, back 2, right 2. And as you can see, we now have a solved pair, which we can then move to the back and do right counter, front, right counter, back 2, right, rights, front counter, right counter, back 2, right 2. So there you have it. Your 2x2 is finally solved. I hope you found this helpful. If you wouldn't mind, please liking, subscribing, belling, all that jazz. It really helps out. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below. And you are one step closer to solving this big guy right here. So thank you very much for watching, and hope you all have a great day.